Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Marites Macpagal from MTA People Department, and thank you for joining us this afternoon for Excel Basic 2016. Now, this class is going to be recorded, and this will last for an hour and a half. We have extended this for additional half an hour so we could actually get some participation from each one of you. For our learning objectives for the day, participants will be able to navigate Excel 2016 environment. We're going to learn how to enter and edit data. We're going to create formula. We will learn how to use the sum function and, of course, how to save and print an Excel file. Now, allow me to minimize this, okay? And I am just going to share with you now an Excel application. So from your computer, whether you're at work or at home, if you have the application, you simply click on the Start button. And what I have here are the shortcuts for the Excel application. So allow me to open that particular file or shortcut. Let me just move it on my screen right there. And this is now Excel 2016. Now, this is what you call the backstage view of the application, or the welcome screen, because this is the first time we open the application. Now, on your left, you could see the name of the application, which is Excel. You have the home page. Of course, you have your new icon and open. Right here, you could see new under the Good Afternoon section, and I could see blank workbook. This is the default page that you're going to see, and this is where you click to create or start a new blank workbook. Notice it has the word workbook. What is really a workbook? A workbook is an Excel file that serves as a container to store related Excel worksheets. Now, below, before I even start or any blank workbook, below you could actually see the recent. These are the list of the recently opened file in the computer that I'm using. And if I have any specific pinned file, I could actually, pin a file and I could put them here. What do we refer to as a pinned file? Pinned files you want to easily find later. So if you have a particular file, an Excel file that you are using literally every day, every now and then you have to open it. Every now and then you have to update it. You might want to pin it. Later on, once we have a particular file, I will show you how to pin it. So let me go back to the recent. Now, aside from this, okay, you see, aside from the new, there are some templates on the list. There are also more templates available for you. And these templates could actually be accessed, from your computer, and you could actually get additional templates from the website also. Now, if you notice, allow me to scroll for you to be able to see. These are some of the templates available and shared by Microsoft themselves. However, if you would like to look for a template for a particular topic, let's say you would like to create an inventory list and you say, what should I have on a workbook or a worksheet for inventory? So I could just simply type inventory, and I could hit the enter key to search or use this, icon, the start search option. And Excel will start looking for some of the inventory templates available right there. Take a look. Now, if you would like to see which one will be the best one I could actually use, it depends on what you need. So for instance, you will be dealing with equipment. This could be a good template for the equipment inventory list. It could be some of the fixed asset. It could be a personal asset inventory. It could be anything. It could be something personal, or it could be work-related inventory. You might also have a warehouse inventory. So if I click on, let's say, the warehouse inventory, when you click on it, it will actually give you a description of that particular template, right? Now, this template is actually a part of Excel, and this is owned by Excel. However, the moment you create it, you could actually give it a name and own it and modify it. But just to get an idea, take a look. These accessible warehouse inventory templates allows user to track and maintain inventory bin location within a warehouse. This warehouse inventory template includes ability to print a, a pick list, the flag when it's reordering time, and retrieve information on specific bins and keep track of inventory value. So if these actually would provide you with what you need, you simply click on create and it will open that template or file for you. Now take a look. Looking at the title, it would say Warehouse Inventory 1. And actually, it will give you the different column headings that you could actually just use and imitate. You have 3 worksheets within this workbook: inventory list, inventory pick list, and bin lookup. Just to get an idea if you wanted to build your own file. Okay, so we'll talk more about all these advanced features that you see here, because there's what you call a lookup. This is one of the features that we actually can teach you in the future when you have reached the advanced level of Excel. So for now, I am going to close this. Now, how do we close an existing worksheet or workbook? Now, this workbook I could close by simply clicking on File, Close, okay? Or I could actually take a look. I could actually use the keyboard combination Control W to close it. Now, if I would like to open or create a blank document, I could simply press the keyboard combination Control N for a new workbook. Take a look. We now have a new workbook called, with the default name, Book 1. Okay, and let us start with what we call navigation and a little information about this workbook. Now, this is an Excel workbook, as I've mentioned earlier, an Excel file that serves as a container to store related Excel worksheet. But looking at this workbook, we only have one worksheet. Look down. It says Sheet 1. So by default, in Excel 2016, we only have one worksheet, and that's what we name it, Sheet 1. That's a default name. What is a spreadsheet or this worksheet? It is an electronic spreadsheet that is used to enter, store, and analyze data in Excel. Think of it as like the piece of paper where you could actually put your information, and this worksheet is made up of rows and columns. So now let's start identifying the component of this spreadsheet or worksheet. So as I have mentioned, sorry. Okay, as I've mentioned, each worksheet is made up of rows and columns. And I want you to take a look at what we have right here. You notice the columns right here you have what you call the column header, where you have the letter A, okay, which is basically identifying each of the columns. So columns are actually identified by letters, okay? Rows, on the other hand, are identified by numbers. There you go. Now, the intersection of a row and a column is what we refer to as a cell. Okay, so that is a singular container that you could use to input and to store data. And how do we name the cell? We cannot say, oh, put it in that location or in that block, but rather each cell has its own cell address. So these, where you could see, this is my active cell, okay, the one with the dark green border around it. I click my mouse in it. This is actually called cell B2 using the column letter B and the row number 2, and this is identified as cell B2. Now, while I'm talking about that, you notice right there, that cell name or address could also be seen in what you call the name box. That's part of this page you see on B2. So that's the actual location. If I click on this cell, it would say I am in A1. Now, before anything else, you might wonder, how come Maritas that you might have in mind? So I'm just putting the question into your lips, and I would say, how come Maritas, in the past, the old version, by default, we have 3 worksheets, but now we only have one worksheet. How would all the information fit in? You will be surprised, my dear friends, because in Excel 2016, okay, you will never run out of rows and column. If you look at, as I've mentioned, each column is identified with a letter. So I have A up to letter S. If I continue to scroll, I could actually reach letter Z, which is the last letter of the alphabet. And then it will start with A, AB, AC, and so forth and so on. Do you know how many columns do we have in one worksheet? Okay, so I am going to navigate and show you the last column of worksheet number 1. So if I'm going to press the control and the arrow, it will actually bring me to the column XFD. And do you know that that XFD column marks the how many 16,000 column in this worksheet alone. So you have 16,000 columns. To go back to A1, you simply press Control Home, and I am back to A1. Anybody would like to make a guess and put in the chat how many rows do I have in this Excel worksheet? Any guess? Rafael, Phil, anybody put a wild guess of how many rows do we have in this one worksheet?
I don't see it yet.
Okay. Oh, okay. So let me just show you, everybody. Okay, so if I press a control and use the arrow down, I'm right now in A1, but I'm holding down my control and use the navigation arrow down. Do you see the last row of my worksheet? Wow. You will never run out of space because this is 1,048,576 rows in this worksheet. That's how much space do we have in this particular default worksheet. So let me press Control Home again to bring you back to A1. So let me just continue and navigate and show you with some of the uh, parts of this interface. So in here, we have what we call the title bar. And in the title bar, every time you have a new workbook, by default, it will have the name Book 1. As you open another workbook, it will become Book 2, Book 3, Book 4, and so forth and so on, right? So right now, we have Book 1 right there. And on the right, you could see that my name is right there because this software is licensed under my name. And I have my ribbon display options, of course, and I have the minimize, restore, and the close button. On the extreme left, I do have what you call the quick access toolbar, which contains all the common command that we use in Excel. You know, all the ones that have a check mark is what we have right here. You could do more customization by clicking on the more commands to add an additional command that you would like to use through your project or to your work. Now, of course, down here, right under the quick access toolbar is what you call the ribbon, which provides you with the access in the more commonly used command also. Take a look. So under the home ribbon, each of the ribbon has what you call the ribbon tabs. Those are the headings. Under the home ribbon, this ribbon contains multiple groups. How do you determine the groups? If you're looking closely, under the home ribbon, I have the clipboard group. Next is the font group. Between the clipboard and the font, there is a very thin line that separates the group. Okay, and then you have the alignment group, the number group, the styles, the cell, the editing, and the web. Notice some of them have a drop down arrow that you could allow you to be able to see additional options for each one of them. You also have this, you see this arrow right here that will allow you to be able to open what you call a dialog box for additional options pertaining to the command that you have in that group. So if you navigate to every tab, ribbon tab, you will be able to see a different set of groups of commands under each specific ribbon tab. So let me go back to home. You have some other time to navigate through that, but at least you have the idea of what it is all about. Now, again, on your left, right under the ribbon is what you call the name box. It displays the cell reference for the current cell. So as I mentioned, right now I am in A1, so it actually is reflected here. If I go to G4, you could see in the name box the name of that particular cell. I could also use the name box to navigate to a cell locations. If I would like to go to M25, I could type M25 right there. I hit enter key. Did it bring me to M25? Yes, it did. So I'm sure you're able to see, that you could actually be able to see it. So let me go back home, okay, to A1. So that's basically some of the things that you could do with the help of the name box. Next to the name box is what you call the formula bar. This is what we call the formula bar. It displays the content of the current selections on the cell. Right now, there's nothing on my cell, so that becomes an empty. It doesn't mean that if you call it a formula bar, you could only see the formula. It could actually see the content of every cell that you have on your workbook, okay, or in your worksheet. Now, down at the bottom, let's look down at the bottom, we have what you call the status bar. The status bar displays the status of the various conditions pertinent to Excel, such as the mode of the active cell and whether or not caps lock or number lock is enabled. Now, take a look. Down here, I am actually in what you call ready mode, okay? Meaning Excel is waiting for me to interact with it, okay? Later on, once I start working, you'll be able to see that it will change the mode from ready to enter into edit. All the way to the right, okay? You could see the view, the three different view, the normal view, the page layout view, and the page break preview. So we will have some chance later on to see the difference between these three. And lastly, at the very end is what you call the zoom control, which provide you a quick access to, to be able to magnify the level of the displayed worksheet. So of course you have your zoom out, which make it smaller. Take a look. And I have the plus sign, which is actually to be able to zoom in, or I could use the lever to actually adjust the magnification of my worksheet view. Okay, and if you look a little bit to the right, to the upper right-hand corner, where you could actually see the button called share. Share a workbook with others, right within Excel. You could actually do that. You can let them edit the workbook or just be able to view the content of your workbook. Okay, so that's basically what we have right now. Later on, as things comes out, I'm going to talk more about it. Now, let me talk more about the inner elements up here. So we said we have, these are what we call the column heading. These are my row headers where you see the numbers. I have my scroll bar, horizontal and vertical scroll bar, as you can see right there. Okay, and I have under where you see sheet 1, this is what you refer to as the worksheet tab. If you would like to add an additional worksheet, you see the plus sign next to it. When I click on it, it will automatically allow me to add a brand new worksheet. And that's how easy it is to add a new worksheet. Now, I will go over the navigations once we start putting in some information. Okay, so let me start and let's create our workbook. So now I have a blank workbook and we are now ready to start putting in or entering data into our workbook. Now, in Excel, so cell entries can actually include many types of data, including text and values. So there's two types of, again, data that you actually put in Excel. Again, one is what you call text, the other one is what you call values. Text in a cell can be any length. It can change the text formatting as in the font and the size, and it always default to the left, okay? And values can include numbers or formulas, right? And you could actually be, and even functions, okay? Excel recognizes cell data was a value when it's a number, and it would begin with a plus or with a pound sign or some of those symbols. But by default, a value is actually aligned always to the right because of the placement value with the numbers, okay? Now, let me show you and demonstrate to you how to add or put in some information. You ready? Uh, I am just going to do a little demonstration for now. Later on, I will ask for some volunteers from the group, okay? So allow me first to show. As I show, I'm going to talk more about it, but later on, I would get some of you to help me and solve some of the formulas and functions that we will actually create. So I am going to enter a data, and let me start with a title. So I made up a worksheet and I would like to create, we now, MTA actually does a lot of distribution of a mass. So I said, oh, let me make a weekly. I will make up my weekly, okay, weekly. Oops, sorry. My keyboard is very light. Mask, okay, and distribution. Distribution per station.
Hey, what's going on?
So now I have my title, Weekly Mass Distribution per Station. You see it? Now, right now, as I was typing it, I want you to look down. What mode are we in right now? A while ago, it says ready, waiting for me to interact. The moment I started typing, that mode changes from ready to enter, correct? Now, my insertion point is still blinking because I have not confirmed the entry of this text. To be able to do that, I could do two things. On my keyboard, if I hit the enter key, my mouse, which is currently still on A1, will automatically move down one cell down. It will go to A2. Or in the formula bar, you notice the moment I started typing, you see the X, which is the cancel, and the check mark as an enter is actually visible. Okay, so I could also use the check mark to confirm the entry of this text. So, but right now I'm just going to use the enter key on my keyboard. Take a look. So from A1, I am now in A2. Okay, now, although my title, weekly mass distribution per station, as I've mentioned, whatever is in the cell could be seen in the formula bar. You see it right there. Now, however, you notice it is overflowing. Okay, it overflowed to the next cell. It is in A1, but the word mass distribution per station overflowed to B1, C1, D1, right? Why? Because if the text doesn't fit in a cell, it will appear to go to the next cell, okay? And since it is empty, it's okay. I could see everything. Because right now, if I go to B1, it is empty. If I go to C1, it is empty because there's nothing on the formula bar. If I go to D1, although I see the word stations, it is empty because all of those texts are actually residing in A1. If for some reason there is a text in B1, let's say I would put the word time. Now, what I see now is the content of B1 time, which I could see in my formula bar, right? So that's what would happen. But what did it do to the text in A1? The text is truncated right there, right? So it was cut off. So I could see it cut off, but it's still there. It's still complete. So I just need to make some kind of adjustment. So I'm just going to delete this, and I'll show you later on how to adjust those column width accordingly. So let me just continue and go back again to A2 to continue typing my subtitle. My subtitle would be the week of October, oops, October 18. Okay, and I hit the enter key. I hit the enter key again to move down to A4. I will now start typing the headings for my list. So I would say days. And notice to move from one cell to the next cell to the right, all I have to simply use is the tab key. I am now in B4. Date. Press the tab to move to the next. I'm now in C4 and I have station 1. Got it? So notice from A4, I type the word days. I press the tab. And in B4, I type the word date. I press the tab. And in C4, I type the word station 1. If I hit the enter key right now, notice how it will automatically bring me back to the original column where I started, which is in A column. So I'm now in A5. So in A5, I would type the first day, which is Monday. There you go. So I have Monday right there. Perfect. So I'm talking about the days of the week of October 18, Monday. So obviously, I would like to type Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We work and operate 7 days a week. So instead of typing in Excel, there is a feature we call autofill. Okay, autofill features allows you to fill cell with data that actually follow the pattern that's actually being used. So let me take and show you how it works. So I am going to just magnify this so you could see very well what I'm doing. Okay, there you go. And I'm just going to hide my ribbon for a while, and that's Monday. Again, my active cell is Monday, A5, which contains the word Monday right there in the formula bar. I would like to complete the series to put the days of the week from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Okay, and to do that, I could actually use what you call the autofill. Now, where do I use and where do I get that autofill feature? In that active cell, you notice at the lower right-hand corner, there is a tiny green box. Right now, my mouse uses the form of a white cross. But the moment I laid my mouse on top of that little corner, my white cross turned to a black cross, a black tiny cross. When I click and hold my left mouse, hold it down, your left mouse, slowly drag it down. Do you see the word Tuesday? Continue dragging. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. When I let go, did it give me the complete days of the week from Monday to Sunday? Perfect, right? So that's what you call an autofill. It is a feature that allows you to complete series. So it's giving me the complete series of the days of the week. Now, if it could give me the series for the days of the week, it could also give me series for the months of the year and so forth and so on, including numbers and sequence of numbers. It can also complete the series for this. If I have what I call station 1, there should be a station 2, station 3, station 4, correct? So if I use the autofill handle and drag it all the way to the right, it will give me station 2, 3, and station 4, and let go. Okay, so that's basically what we could actually do. So let me stop at that point. Now, so right now we have been adding what we call text. And as I mentioned earlier, text always align by default to the left of the cell. So you see all of this, whether it's a combination of letters and numbers, they are still considered as text. They're aligned to the left of the cell. There you go. Now in C5, I will start putting in or the numbers. Let's say I'm going to put 500 right there. When I press tab, oops, I have 450, I have 375, and I have 600. And I hit the enter key, it brings me to the next row. What do you notice of how it actually look once you start putting in values? Values automatically align to the right of the cell because of the place values of the number for future calculation. So far so good. Okay, now in cases like, let me just give you a quick formatting options. You notice right here, my first column are the days and second column is date. I'm ready to put the date. However, I notice that the Wednesday, if I put a date here, the Y will be cut off. So how do I adjust, the column width of my column A? There are actually two ways. One way is what you call the auto fit. By putting your mouse between the column heading A and B, okay, it will adjust the width of column A based on the longest line in that column. So if I double click right now, using my left mouse, look at my mouse between A and B with a double-headed arrow, you notice how it automatically adjusted based on the longest line in that column. In column A, it has the longest line, weekly mass distribution per station, because that's a title, but I don't want it to be that wide. I just wanted to adjust it based on the size of the days. So let me undo, okay? To do it, you could actually do, if you don't want to use the auto fit, you could actually manually adjust. So simply put your mouse again between A and B, click and hold your left mouse and take a look. Gradually move your mouse to the right until you're able to see the right size for that particular column. And that's how you could adjust your column manually. Perfect. Now let's put the date. So for the date, I could type by the numbers. I could say 10, 18, 20, 21. Then the next will be 10, 19, 20, 21. Can I use the autofill for this? Sure. Since I'm telling the computer, look, I want 1 day interval on the date. So I would select 10, 18, and 10, 19. And I will use again, allow me to drag it so you could see everything. I will drag, use the autofill handle, and it will automatically populate my date. So that saves me a lot of time, and my data are more accurate and correct. Okay, so far so good, right? So let me save this. Let me just show you how to save this. I'm not going to complete it right now. It's always advisable for us to save our file when we are working. Once we started working, although we're not finished, it's always good to save it just in case for any, power failure, or somebody could have hit the power cord. So it's good to have actually save our file at the beginning, so not to lose all the data you have put in. So how do we save? You can either click on the save button right there, or you could actually use what you call the file save as option to be able to save. Now in here, you know that now because we're using 2016, by default, it will always give you the OneDrive. Since I am home, it is giving me my personal Gmail account. However, when you're at work, it will give you the transit account right there. So in here, I'm just going to basically save it in a folder that I'm working on. So I'm going to put it right there. And I know I have a folder in my desktop, basic Excel data folder. And I am just going to call this as my sample workbook. There you go. And I would simply hit the enter key. Perfect. Okay. So I have save it, and look, I have the name sample workbook in the title bar. Next, I am going to open another workbook, but for the meantime, I would like to show you and start talking about creating a simple formula in Excel. Time is running too fast, so I have to start talking about formula. You know, you could create a simple formula to add, subtract, multiply, or divide values in your worksheet. Simple formulas always start with an equal sign when you're using Excel, followed by a constant, and of course with the numeric values or the numeric values to calculate. And these are some of the symbols that we use. You know, when we do our manual calculation, allow me to go back, you know, when we do our manual addition, we basically use the values 5 and then the operator plus 5 gives you 10. In Excel, it's the other way around. But before even explaining to you how things work in Excel, let me go back to this to show you the symbol that we use in Excel compared to our manual calculation. So we use a plus sign to add. In Excel, we use the same plus that is used to add numbers. We use that dash for minus key. We use the same dash for the minus key to subtract number or to signify negative values. We use the X to multiply. But in Excel, we don't use the X, but rather we use the asterisk, also known as star, to formula to multiply number. And of course, we use this symbol to divide. But in Excel, we use this forward slash to use in a formula to divide one number by another. And we use the same percentage symbol, anything that you would like to express things in percent. Okay, so those are the common symbols that we do. So now let's talk about the formula once again. So as I've mentioned, manually it's easy to add 5 plus 5 equals 10. But in Excel, remember to create a formula. Formula in Excel always begin with an equal sign. Look at the example I have here. I started to add by starting, you know, you position your mouse in the cell where you would like your answer to be. So if I have 5 in quarter 1, 5 in quarter 2 to get the total in column E, I will position my mouse there and I will start with the equal sign. Okay. And then it will be followed by the constant or the operator that you could use in the calculation. So in this case, look at this. I am going to add the values in C2 and in D2. But instead of saying equals 5 plus 5, I am using the cell address of where 5 is actually located. And why so? So that just in case you need to replace the value in that cell, it will automatically recalculate for you. So allow me to show that to you in Excel. Let me bring up Excel again, and let me now open an existing file that I have created and prepared for you that we could use to do our exercise. Let me just open practice workbook. There you go. Do you see my practice workbook right now? There you go. I have some data in here with some information, and I'm ready to get, I will just move up so that I could see to get the totals. Okay, so I'm just going to, in F4, I'm going to type the heading total. Okay, and I will hit the enter key. Now, in the column total, I would like to add together the total number of, you know, the mass that is that was distributed in station 1, 2, and 3. So we said to start the simple calculation or formula, you start it with an equal sign. Okay, and I could, instead of typing 550 plus 400 plus 300, you use the cell address. So 550 reside in C5. So I could literally type C5. See how it highlights it? Okay, plus, and I could say D5. Okay, plus E5. Got it? And I could, in the formula bar, to be able to see the formula and the answer in the same cell, you simply click on the enter key. Now, this is the difference between hitting the enter key or using the enter key in the formula bar. When you use the enter key, the check mark in the formula bar, notice I am currently in F5. I will still stay in F5 with a total of 1,250, but in the formula bar, you could see the actual formula being used to get the total. Plain and simple. Easy, right? That is an easy way of doing that. Now, I need a volunteer because I know time is running. Anybody? Phil, Rafael, any volunteer who would like to do a simple calculation? Then we will do use and learn the sum function. Anybody?
Okay, so if you're interested, please raise your hand
I could give you
or put it
my
in the chat.
mouse.
Maybe this will help you along the way.
Anybody? No, they don't want to
I
cooperate.
don't see. They're a little shy today.
Are you shy? Okay, so I don't want to. I know you wanted to. You know, if you would like to volunteer in the next one.
Did Amira raise her hand? Amira, do you have your hand up?
Oh, I see
I think
Amira.
she did.
Amira Wills. Okay, Amira, I'm going to assign the mouse to you. Keyboard and mouse control, Amira Willis.
Actually, she did chat that she had a question though.
Oh, okay. But Amira, do you want to try? Give it a try? Okay, I'll give you my control, okay? I'm just assuming yes. Oh, you cleared it. Okay, so I'm going to cancel. Anyway, it's okay. I don't want to put you on the spot. But anyway, so you notice in this formula, I have added C5, D5, and E5. The easiest way to do it is basically to use the autofill. I could use and copy that formula all the way down, you know. So if I copy, again, I could use the autofill handle and I could drag down and notice how the formula was actually copied relative to the location of the cell. I am in F6 where the answer is, and it's actually picking up the values relative to the location of my cell, row 6, F6, and then F7, and so forth and so on. That is the simple way of creating a formula. Another way of creating the formula is what you call using the autosum. You could use autosum to quickly sum or the column or rows of a number. You know, quickly, let me just go over the functions, the structure of a function. You know, every function uses a function name such as autosum, and it uses an argument in every function. So these are input values or a number. So those are some of the function names that we have. So I'm just going to actually basically delete this and use the sum functions, okay, to demonstrate to you how to use the autosum. So let me just delete that. So I'm going to go here and use the very simple autosum to quickly sum a column or a row of numbers. So right now I would like to add together a row of numbers. Now, no sweat, because in your home ribbon, you could see the autosum in the editing group where I see autosum right there. And of course, I have here also, if you go to formulas, you could see also the AutoSum as a function right there stated. So I'm just going to stay in the home ribbon. And if I click on the AutoSum, I don't need to put anything. All I have to do is position your mouse to the cell where you want your answer to be and click on this. And take a look. I have now equal sum C5 to E5. Perfect, right? So now all you have to do in here,
Manitas,
yes.
when you are done with this, can you unmute Amira because she does have a question?
Oh, sure, sure, sure. I will actually be able to unmute her. Okay, and Amira, I have unmuted you already. And let me just hit the enter key here to show them the answer. Yes, Amira.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you
Yeah,
very
I've had a
well.
question for a while. I've been trying to unmute myself the whole time. But basically, how did you move that column? Like the one that if you zoom out,
Oh,
I can't really.
okay.
If
Now,
you could zoom
can
out
you
a
see
little
my
bit.
mouse right now, Amira?
E-
Can you see my mouse between A and B?
Yeah, but when you zoomed out, I like zoom out a little bit.
Okay. So you want me to zoom a little bit more, bigger?
No, zoom out, out.
Oh, zoom
Zoom
out. Oh, so make
out.
it smaller. Okay.
Yeah, just on. You see how the week of October is over that? How did you move?
Oh, that big heading, you wanted to quickly adjust based on the longest line of the column. Is that what you mean,
No, no, no,
Amira?
no, 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 no. How it is now? How did you get it there? And like, you see how it's the week of October 18th is.
Uh-huh.
How did you move the columns under that? Like, how did you get the line under the word October, week of October 18th? Like, you get what I'm
Oh, I
saying?
just simply hit the enter key. From here, I just hit the enter key and then hit another key and started typing from that point. Is that what you mean?
Okay, I think so. I'm
You
not
could
sure.
also, just in case, okay, which is the next step I'm going to show later on, in case, just for instance, I'm just going to make a scenario, Amira, okay?
Okay.
Let's say you were not able to add a row between the title and your table, right? And
Mm-hmm.
you wanted to create a row right there. All you have to do is select that row, provided there's nothing across, okay, Amira? Nothing will be affected. Just select that row, right click on it, and simply say insert. Is that what you
Okay.
wanted to see, Amira?
Yeah, but I kind of wanted to know like why the week of October is not is longer than days. You see how you
Oh,
have it?
yeah. So this, the week of October 18 is in cell A2. Yes, of course, the text is longer than this. So if I would like to adjust based on that length, right? If you
Uh-huh.
put your mouse between A and B and I would slide slowly, can you see that imaginary line?
Yeah.
Adjusting, look on top. The width is adjusting. Do you see the increase in the width? 15.16, 16 point something. And
Mm-hmm.
when I let go, it adjusted based on that width.
And how do you get it back to how it
Although,
just was? That's basically what it is.
yeah, because there's nothing in that B2, that's why it's overfilling,
Yeah, a while ago.
right? Is that the question?
No,
Yeah.
how do you get it? You see how it is now? How do you get it back to how it was? That was the question.
All I
I
have to
couldn't
do
really.
is undo. Or you could always put it back. So that manual adjustment could be,
Oh, okay.
adjusted to the
Okay, I
left
get
or
it.
to the right. Is that what you wanted to know?
Yeah, sorry. It was
Did I
simple.
answer your
Sorry.
question now,
Yeah,
Mira?
yeah. Thank you
Oh,
so much. It was
you're
very
welcome
simple.
anytime. Okay, feel free. Okay.
Thanks.
Okay, so now let me continue the auto sum. Take a look. Now the auto sum allows me to get the total equal sum. Look at the functions that we have here. Equal sum C5 to E5. And that's easy because now that I know that I could use that function, again, I could use the autofill, but instead of dragging, do you know that once I know and I'm definite about the functions that I've used and it's correct, I could simply double click on the autofill and it will automatically populate my table. Now you notice in Excel 2016, automatically you will see this notification right here that something is wrong. This formula in this cell refers to a range that has an additional number adjacent to it because it looks at the date as a number. Of course, I know it's wrong, so I simply click on the drop-down arrow and I would simply say ignore error because I know it's not an error. So that's basically how you use the auto sum. Now, allow me to delete that because instead of using the auto sum, do you know that I could also type the function sum in creating a formula? Now, let me start with F5. So I would say equals. Remember we said we always start our formula with the equal sign. So equals. And I would simply type sum, S-U. The moment I start typing the word sum, I'm just in the letter S-U. I see a list of all the different functions in Excel that begins with SU. And one of them is sum. You know, what's nice is instead of typing the entire word, I could simply double click on it and automatically it will complete the name or the function name for me and even add the open parenthesis for the range that I would like to add together. So in this case, I would like to add together C5 to E5, correct? So instead of typing it, do you know that I could position my mouse using my mouse from C5 in the middle? Click and hold your left mouse and drag across. And there you go. Now, since I have already indicated the range of cell. When I say range of cell, the multiple cell that is included in my addition, C5, D5, E5. This is the beginning of the range, colon, the ending range, E5, including the D5. All I have to do is click on the enter key. I don't have to even close the parentheses because I am only using one set of parentheses. And I would click the enter key and that automatically gives me the number. Now, do I get any volunteer to try to create the sum function? Phil, do you see anybody volunteering to do it? Anybody?
I'm looking and waiting.
Go ahead. You could type your name on the Q&A. Oh, I see Marianne. Okay, raising her hand. Hi, Marianne. I'm going to assign you my mouse. And Marianne, there you go. Grant control. You have the control of my mouse now, Marianne. Go ahead. Go to F6. F6. So you are in F6. Perfect. Okay, you could start with the equal sign. Use your keyboard. Type the word sum. Perfect. Double click on the word sum. Oops, sorry. Go back again to it. It's okay. Go back to the top. Okay. Equal SU. Do you see sum on the list? Double click on the word sum. Double click. Perfect. There you go. And what you would like to add is C6. Put your mouse on top of 875. Okay, on top of 875. Right, one more cell up, one more cell up. Now click and hold your left mouse, drag it, hold it, drag it across to D6. Okay, perfect. No, not including F6, only up to E6. Again, slowly, let go of your mouse and hit the enter key. Perfect. Okay, can you use the autofill now to complete the list? How do you do the autofill? Go to F6, go to F6. No, you don't have to do it. Okay, if you wanted to do one more time, I'm good. Okay, go to F6. No, go to F6, Marianne. Perfect. Use the autofill handle. Where's the autofill handle? It's on the lower right-hand corner. Go ahead. It should be the, no, not yet. No. Go back to F6. Okay, use the, see the autofill handle at the corner, lower right-hand corner, not that. There you go. Now double click. You could drag it down or you could double click. Go ahead. Drag down slowly. Slowly. One more. And let go. Now, oops, you could do one more for the last for Sunday. Oops. Now, go back. Okay. Use the autofill handle. It has to be, yes. Drag slowly. Let go. Now,
Nicely
perfect.
done.
Now, I want you to select from F6 to F11. F6 to F11. Always when you're selecting, you click on F, hold the shift key, the easiest way to select. No, no, no. Hold the shift key. Are you holding the shift key, Marianne? Now, while holding the shift key, click the F11. Go and click F11. While there you go. So that's an easy way of selecting range of cell. Now click on that exclamation point and select ignore because we're not including the date for the calculation. Now right there on the top of, you could see it on somewhere on E6. Look, there you go. Click on that. Select ignore error. Perfect. Hey, I love it. Thank you so much. Okay. Thank you, Marianne. Let me get back to control. Okay. Thank you for your participation, Marianne. Okay. So there you go. Thank you. So that's cool. Okay. That's cool. Thank you so much for participating. Now, let me move on. And we have 30 more minutes to go on. Now, I will save this and I would bring you to another location where I could actually show you more about some of the other commonly functions being used, so common functions that we use. And then we will start using some of them. But before doing that, okay, before doing that, a while ago, we were working, okay, I opened the file practice workbook, correct? Now, you know how sometimes you would like to basically share this workbook and you would like to save it in a different format. So allow me to show you how to do that. So if I have practice workbook and I'm done with it, I click on save and it save all the changes using the practice workbook name. I could also go back to file and use the save as option. By using this option, I could actually create another file with the same layout and give it a different name, or I could save the sample file still, with the name sample file. Again, file save as, and I would go here and I will call, it's called the practice workbook rather. I could convert this into a different types of file. Take a look. The moment I click again, if I did it too fast, when I went to file save as, under the file name, this is the name of the file, practice workbook. The save as type is Excel workbook. That's Excel 2016. If I click on the drop down arrow next to the Excel workbook, that gives me the list of the different format I could actually save this file with. Usually, if you are sharing your file to somebody who have an old version of Microsoft, you have a coworker that still uses an old computer that have 2003 in it, there's nothing wrong about it. You could convert it into the 2003 workbook so that they could open it even if you have created it in 2016. You could also be able to save it as a PDF file. These are the common things that we use. When you save this as a PDF file, there you go. It will be saved as a practice workbook. You will be able, allow me to do the save, and I'm going to use the same name practice workbook. Notice how Excel would actually save it as a PDF file. There you go. Where's my PDF? Did it go? Give me a minute once again, Excel worksheet, and click, it's a PDF. Okay, and I click on open file after publishing and save it. And there you go. Okay, and there's my open file. I forgot to activate it. And it is now in Excel format. However, it is saved as a PDF, so it's easy to share, especially if you just want to share the information without giving them access to edit or make any changes on your worksheet. And this is a PDF file. And if you look at your list of file, when you open, okay, when you browse and take a look, if I click on all files, I could see the PDF file practice workbook is in there. So that's how you convert, your Excel file into other format. Okay, so allow me to open another file. And in that, I would like to open another. So I did a practice, I did a sample, the basic formula exercise. Allow me to open it. And I have here again totals. Okay, so I would like to get another volunteer to practice on how to do the totals, and then we will start talking about the other functions. Anybody else would like to volunteer aside from Mary Ann? Any volunteer that you see raising their hand? Bill, anybody? Rafael, anybody?
I'm looking so far. Don't see. And if you raise your hand previously, if you'd like to, you can lower your hand unless you want to stay. Hand raised. Don't think I'm seeing anybody else.
Nobody wants to volunteer? Haha, you could try. It won't be too hard. No? Okay, so I would just want to do this quickly, and then I'm going to start talking about
See Marianne Maloney.
who?
Yeah, Marianne, who went earlier.
Oh,
So you want to do it again?
And
left,
Mary
yeah.
Ann, yeah, did it a while ago. Anybody, any other volunteer? Okay. Amira, do you want to try it? Should I give you access, Amira? Let me give you an access. Are you in a keyboard, Amira? Okay, I am going to give you access, Amira.
I know she
I'm
had
actually
trouble
not. I'm not right now.
Oh, you're not. Okay, so then I'm not going to assign it to you. It's okay. So let me just do a quick review of the total. So I'm just going to use the sum function in here to do it quickly, just like what you see. It automatically creates a formula with a function and all the range of cell. So I would simply use this and double click to be able to get the total. Now, there are common functions that we have in Excel, and these are some of the common functions that some you usually would like to use or take advantage of. Like you would like to know the highest value, the lowest, or the average of the values, right? So if I would like to use the highest value, we use the function, okay? If you see again, if you look here, the commonly used ones are here, the average, the count, the max, and the min. Highest uses the max function. Lowest uses the min function. Average uses the average. So if I go to the highest, I could simply just click on, the max. There you go. And it will pick up the highest value right there. So I click on the check mark and take a look. It gave me 63,000. Now you'd say, hey, is this correct? Yes or no? You could put it in the chat or, on the Q&A that we have. Is this correct? 63,825. Is that the highest value? Obviously, it looks like it's the highest value, but that
Looks
is
like
the
the
total.
total.
That is not actually the value of the different stations. So not because you are using a function, you would rely and say, hey, it will give me the correct answer. Not all the time. You have to make sure that when you're using a function, let me double click so that you could view the function, and let me just give me a minute. Let me just zoom it so you could see it better. Okay, there you go. So if I double click, you could see a max of B4 to G4. B4 is okay to G4. G4 is the total. So G4 should not be part of the formula. So the proper way to correct or edit the formula, especially functions that you're using, is by simply selecting that range that you would like to correct and simply click over from B4. There you go. Keep your left mouse down. So I'm holding down my left mouse. Drag slowly to C4, D4, and E4 and F4, which includes station 1 to station 5. Now, I think that's the correct range, correct? Do you agree with me? I have yes. I would simply click on the check mark. And now my highest value is 15,350, which is actually this amount. Perfect, right? So that's basically what it means. So again, that is the highest value. And if I could still use my autofill, I double click and it gives me that highest value. Okay, so now I'm going to actually do the lowest. Okay, so then I'm going to say equals, and I would say min. And again, look, it including up to H. To correct that once again, I will have to simply select that and select the range. To make it easier, click on the check mark, and the lowest is 1,000 in this range, and use the autofill to complete it. And finally, it is my average to be able to do that. And I would make sure that I select the correct range and use the autofill to copy the formula all the way down. So let me save the basic formula exercises right there. Now, there's another function that is quite interesting right here. You sometimes would like to know the count, the number of inventories. Now, so to be able to get the number of inventories, we use what we call the count function. So I would like to know the number of inventories, how many items, and also, although it's like a duplicate name, product name count. So in my number of inventories, these are what I'm going to consider as the number of inventories. I will use these values to count. So then I would say equals, and to count, I would say equals count, C-O-U. I see count right there. And I see two counts, count and count A. So obviously, I would like to use the first one because that's what I'm looking for, correct? Count. I double click on it and it gives me equal count, open parenthesis. Now the equal count function will determine how many cells in the range under the station number 1 contains numeric values. So since station 1 contains numeric values, I would start counting by clicking on B4, that's the first value for the first product, to B5, B6, B7, B8, B9, and B10. And it gave me 7. Correct? Now, can I use the same count to get the product name count? This is the product name count. So I could try, I would say equals, and I will use again count, double click. Now I will start counting the product name. Mask, shield, sanitizer, wipes, info packet, bags, and t-shirt. And when I click on the check marks, it gave me 0. What's wrong with it? I was using the same count function. There you go. Do you agree? I'm using the same function. Okay, so I could use the equal count, this equal count function for the first problem, the number of inventory, because the equal count function can be used to determine, listen to this, how many cells in a range contain numeric values. This did not count my product name because these are not numeric values. They are what? Text. So that's why it gave me 0. So if you would like to count items, okay, using text or combination of text and numbers, what you should use is the count A. So you say equals, you would use the function count A. And I will start selecting the text from A4, A5 to A10. Playing a check mark gave me 7. So keep that in mind as one of the function, and there are other functions that uses the A with a function. So if you're counting the count with of the number of numerical values, you use a count. If you're using or you're counting text, you use count A, but it actually does the same function. So that's basically it. So let me save this. Now we still have some time. I'm just going to show you some of the features that we have. Earlier, I've shown you how to adjust a column width. There are cases that you would like to add an additional row or column in your worksheet. To be able to do that, you notice right here, if I would like to insert a row, okay, depending on the number of rows I would like to add, I could simply select the number of row that I would like to add. I would like to insert 2 rows in between the mask and the shield. So I would simply select row 5 and row 6. And when I right click, I see the option insert. Notice the insert word doesn't have any ellipses or 3 dots in it. And when I click on insert, it automatically select the number of rows that I have actually originally selected. So I have now 2 blank rows. And if I decide, oops, I made a mistake and I put the wrong, row, I could again leave it selected, right click on it, and I could simply delete. However, if you're only deleting or inserting a particular range, take a look. If I'm just, let's say I have another data all the way to the right of my worksheet, and I just wanted to adjust just this table. So I would select the range from A9. The quick way of selecting a big range of cell is by simply clicking on the beginning cell where the range would start, hold the shift key, and I would like to select up to J10. And that allows me to select the entire range right there. So if I would like to move this down, all I have to do is I would simply right click, and you see the word insert. It now has a 3 dots. When you see any of your command having a 3 dots, it means it will open a dialog box such as this that will allow you to select additional options. So in here, I could shift the cell to the right, which I don't want to, but I would like it to shift the cell down. So move down bags and t-shirt to give way to new rows. If I do that, I click OK, and you notice how it added a new row in that table. And I could do the same thing if I would like to delete, and I would say shift cell up to close the gap, and I would simply click on OK. Perfect, right? So those are some of the common things. Now, keep in mind, when you are selecting the column heading, it selects from B1 all the way down to 1 million, 448,000 rows in that particular column, okay? But if you would like to only select a specific range, make sure you select only the range that you would like to make some changes or adjust. So if I would like to adjust this table, all I have to do is select, this range, and I could actually just select and add additional rows or columns on my table. And that's basically what it is. So that's some of the quick format that I could actually share with you. Now, looking at my table, notice again, I have big spaces on my table. So if I would like to reduce the space so that, I could see it. Now look at, I just wanted to give you this little scenario, okay? So I have adjusted all the column width so that I could move them a little. Notice how I double click on the column headings, and it would automatically adjust only based on the longest line of this column. So perfect. However, I noticed on A3, because I adjusted based on the content right here, the word become truncated. So I see product name on top, but I don't see the entire word right there. In cases like that, that you would like the column width to be just this size, there is an option in your alignment right there in the home ribbon under alignment, which what you call wrap text. The wrap text would actually wrap the extra long text into a multiple lines. So in this case, it will wrap around product name and would expand it into 2 rows in that particular cell. So the cell automatically adjusted its size to fit in the title in A3, the column heading in A3. Beautiful, correct? Now, if I would like to select these headings and wanted to make sure, take a look at the alignment here. Right now, it is middle align. Okay, let me do middle align from left to right there. Okay, there you go. It's in the middle. This is left align, right align, bottom align, top align. So I would like to put it center, middle, center, horizontally. Perfect, correct? So that's the alignment that you actually use. Do you know that sometimes you could also change the angle of your text? That's what you call alignment. You see all of this? There is also an option here. If you click on this option to allow you to be able to see the dialog box right there, you simply click on it, and under the alignment, you see the red diamond. I call this the red diamond. Okay, this shows you the orientation of the text. So it is right now from left to right, and this is the orientation. I could use the degrees, the numbers right here, and make it to, let's say, 45 degrees, and it will angle up to 45 degrees. When I click OK, did it angle the heading to 45 degrees? So that's how you angle titles. Let me undo. Another way, let me go back again to show you. Instead of putting in the number, I could manually drag that red diamond to decide for myself how much do I want it to slant it. Only that 24%, click OK, and that's how it's going to be. Okay, so that's basically part of the alignment, the orientation of your text. So those are like, you just don't do it manually, but you select on it and decide on the orientation of your text. So let me put it back to 0 to put it back to the proper alignment of from left to right in that manner. Another thing I would like to show you, everybody, is of course, look at the heading Daily Product Distribution Report. Right now, it is aligned all the way to the left. How could I position this to the center of my title? But before doing that, I would like to quickly show you that if I would like to print this, okay, I could actually click on the print preview, and in my print preview, it tells me I have 2 pages. Take a look. That doesn't look right. That the only 2 columns will be on the second page. So I will go back. How do I correct that? When I do a print preview without even setting up the page layout of my worksheet, I could see now the dotted line between column H and I, which means first page and in column H. So anything in column I and J will be on the second page. So what can I do to resolve this problem? 2 ways. I could go to the page layout and check my orientation. Right now, it is using the portrait where the paper is standing when you print. Probably if I could print it on a landscape, it would actually solve the problem. Notice after switching from portrait to landscape, it automatically adjusted the dotted line right there. Perfect. Okay, so I don't need to change my margin so far. Let me take a look at the preview. Nice. I could see everything. However, I have a big space right here. And because I adjusted also the column width of product name right there, I didn't realize, and I didn't even take a look at my heading on the last row. So let me go back. So those are the things that you should actually pay attention to. So in here, I could adjust because I wanted to see the word inventories right there and product count. There you go. So that's why my heading is that way and I still see it. So when I do a preview, more or less it's good, right? Now there's another thing that you could actually do while you are here. You notice there is in here a show margin. So I could see that I still have space there. So it's not really um horizontally centered, right? Okay, so how do I solve that? If you look at this page, okay, and I have the page setup right there, I will click on my page setup. And in my page setup, I could see right here under my margins, I would like to center this table horizontally. And when I click on OK, did it center itself? Yes, it did, right? Now, one more thing I would like to do is look at my daily product distribution report. It's on the left. Can I center, align it all the way across my data? Yes, you can. So let me go back and show you how to do that. This is currently residing in A1, but I would like to put it in the middle. I don't copy and paste it in the middle, but what you do is you use the option in the home ribbon called merge and center. To do that, you simply select the range of the cell where you would like to actually merge and center to center this title. So I would like to select A1, hold the shift key to J1. Once I have selected the range, all I have to do is select this drop-down arrow and select the option merge all the cell from A1 to J into one cell and center the title daily product distribution report. Did it work? And it actually automatically centered my title. Beautiful, right? And when I click away, and I now go back to my print preview, it is very much at the center of my page. And in here, I could simply just print, the number of pages, okay, that I would like to be, and determine if you wanted to do, if you have multiple pages, if you wanted to do print one-sided or double-sided. And in fact, you could still make the changes in here, the way I did it here on the page layout could also be found when you are here. You could still change your page landscape orientation to portrait and the size of the paper and the margin that you have. Before anything else, let me bring you to the margins. This defaults to this number. This was the setting I used when I created it, but you could also customize it and make necessary changes by going to the custom margin. And this is where you could actually adjust the margin depending on the width that you would like to put in for your text. And that's basically how you set up, how you print, how you save. What else did you do? Let me go back to my presentation, everybody. And let me go back to our, let me see, and go back here. And we did navigate Excel 2016 environment, enter and edit data, create formula. We used the sum function, save and print an Excel file. So in this presentation, which I'm going to share with you, I will upload this in the Transportation University site. Once our recording becomes available, we will upload recorded classes, and this will also be shared with you. So I could share with you some of the links to some of the resources that you could find online. These are all Microsoft references that I have put together for you that you could actually take a look and based on what I have taught you today. Now, if you have any question, feel free to send me an email. You know my email address. And my name is marites.macapagal@nycd.com, or you could send it to e-consult, or any inquiries could be directed to my manager and Senior Manager Lisa Vernon and Ariel Signer. And this is their address if you would like to take note of that.